Yeah, there is a lot of enthusiasm with regard to the draft.
Enthusiasms.
Enthusiasms. What of mine? The number 3 overall pick. So I do think there's a lot of anticipation for that, and I think it still kind of centers on quarterback. And this is what I sort of wrote about. The JJ McCarthy thing still kind of has me flummoxed. Like, I do not know exactly how to take it, but I still don't think I'm taking it overly seriously.
Yeah.
I think that this might be it might be as simple as Jim Harbaugh, who's like really hell-bent on getting JJ McCarthy to be that 4th guy in the top 4 picks to give him the pick of the litter, for everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know that to be the case, but that's kind of my theory that I ran with. That's what I worked on yesterday. Just,
okay.
The Chargers sit at 5, and everybody believes the top 3, Williams, Daniels, May, are going to go in some order. Well, Daniels and May in some order. And then if you can get Arizona to take J.J. McCarthy, or somebody to go up and get into Arizona's spot and take J.J. McCarthy, based on all of this hype that I think Harbaugh started by calling him the best quarterback in the draft. He's going to have the best career out of these guys. I think he's trying to entice someone to say, if we want this guy, we can't wait at 11. We got to go up and get him. And that way he gets to pick whatever he wants at 5.
And there's
out of all the other position players.
Yeah, I think it's fair in a lot of ways to get caught up in what Jim Harbaugh has to say. Fred has been in here for weeks talking about, like people I know in Michigan and the people who watch, Wolverine football all season long, blah, blah, blah. They said, wait till this guy's pro day, wait till this, wait till that. And there's no pushing back on Fred on certain things.
No.
And this is one of them where I said, yeah, just like anyone at Alabama would have told you Mac Jones
it's exactly
is going to be
what
the
happened
second
with Mac
coming.
Jones.
Yeah,
now, I think it's unfair to McCarthy, and I know my buddy Jim Murray loves to call McCarthy Midwest Mac. There's really no comparison with the two skill sets. McCarthy's far more skilled and athletic. His toolbox is much bigger than Mac's. But the similarities between their end-of-season status as opposed to the pre-draft run-up status is very similar. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones was considered a second-round pick when the season ended, and I think the same of McCarthy. And all of a sudden, if you remember in 21, some people thought that San Francisco and Shanahan were going to take Mac Jones at 3, and that's the way you're hearing about McCarthy now.
Here's my theory on Harbaugh and McCarthy. Not only is Harbaugh hoping that McCarthy can go high in the draft because it makes him look good because he was his coach and help mold this kid, he's also trying to goad Sean Payton into taking him in Denver so he can play against him twice a year.
Oh, I should have thrown that in.
Yeah.
I should have talked to you first.
Edit. It hasn't gone to print yet.
Yeah, I can't write on my phone like some can. Some can do that.
You have a computing machine right in front of you.
I have a computing machine, but I can't log on to that. How do I do this?
I'll get you logged on.
All right.
I'll get it. And then you can just say, what would you call Ryan Johnston in the abstract? You wouldn't name him as a source.
According to those familiar with the situation.
Is
that a little too?
Yeah.
Hey, I am familiar with the situation.
One analyst. How about that?
Okay. I mean, one analyst went so far as to say,
"Yeah, I think it's a great theory." I also think, and I guess this was my original point. I wouldn't fault anybody for falling in love with what Jim Harbaugh had to say. He just won a national championship. He's now coaching an NFL team. He's not a dummy.
And he has NFL experience, too,
yeah.
So that carries some weight.
Right. How much credit does he really get for the national championship? He coached like a third of the season.
But if you do look at it...
I'm not giving any credit to that guy who, absolutely lost his mind after he won the first game that he got plugged in for Harbaugh. Who was the assistant
the guy
there?
was trying and... dropped the F-bomb on ESPN.
These effing guys are so effing good. Show the effing well.
And ironically, that game that they won was Penn State, right? And that was the game, I believe, McCarthy threw 7 or 8 passes. That's the game that I'm out on him. Because of it, first of all, I think the Big Ten is wildly overrated. I think people talk about the Big Ten.
Not as much as it used to be. I think any discussion
there's
of
two teams that are relevant.
Ohio State and
Michigan.
Yes.
And I think if you go back 5, 6, 7 years, you have a better case, Hardy, because your boys, were pretty good. Michigan State could play with people. Penn State, I think, can compete. But did they ever win in any of those games against Ohio State or Michigan?
No, and then you've got like a team like Iowa that plays in the Big Ten title game every year, and they score. They might be able to score in double figures.
Right. Well, and I guess more to the point would be once whoever led the Big Ten or whoever won the Big Ten and then made it through the gauntlet and got to play Alabama or Georgia or LSU, any SEC team. In a playoff game, they got their teeth kicked in.
Yeah, I will now say Ohio State and Michigan have improved to the point where they can compete with anybody.
They can.
So in that regard, I understand
teams.
what your point is about the Big Ten. Whereas even back they might have had 4 or 5 teams that were good, but none that were really good enough.
Yeah.
But like I just hear a lot of hatred toward the ACC, and I would agree. I think it's a very mediocre conference, the ACC. So. I look at a league like that, and I don't think it's all that different than the Big Ten. I don't take all the points off of Drake May that I wouldn't do the same for McCarthy, because I just don't think, and Ryan just talked about it. Basically, the second best team, the team in the championship game. I shouldn't say the second best team because it's really like the third or fourth best team. Iowa has been irrelevant nationally, but you look at their record every year; they go like 9-3. 10-3.
Sure.
They can't score.
Yeah.
They physically cannot score any points. That's the championship game every year. Iowa on the other side of that bracket. It's just a very average league.
And I guess to bring it back to McCarthy just for a moment, I saw one report, one analyst who mentioned and used the word passenger when talking about McCarthy and how, boy, you really don't want someone who's going to be a passenger on a really, on a championship team or on a playoff contending team. And that is going to, ruffle the feathers of a lot of people who said he was more than that at Michigan. And of course, you need to have all pistons firing on a team to win a national championship. However, he's not the reason they won.
Right. It's another one of my Paulisms. He was the quarterback for a team that won the national championship. He's not a national championship winning quarterback.
Ooh,
there's a difference.
I like that. How about that sports in the opening segment? Right?
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.